On January 15th, 1929, a man named Michael King was born. Now, I know that this name may not ring a bell to some of y'all, but we all know who this really is. The Washington Post said that it was not until he was 28 that on July 23rd, 1957, he changed his name to Martin Luther King Jr. My name is Matthew Fuller, and as you can already tell, today I'll be talking about Martin Luther King Jr. The reason you need to listen to me is simple, because Martin Luther King Jr. is a very important part of history. In this speech, I will be talking about his life when he was young, his life as an adult and some of the things he experienced, and some of the significant things he has done, like his greatest achievements. First, I would like to talk about his life when he was young. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents were Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. He had two siblings, an older sister named Willie Christine King and a younger brother named Alfred Daniels Williams King. He was raised by a family of preachers and later on became his father's assistant at Ebenezer Baptist Church, which was a church in their hometown. When he was young, he was known as quite the prankster as well. Washington Post said that him and his brother would try to get out of piano lessons by messing with the chair so that when the teacher sat on it, it would collapse. While he was in high school, he skipped 9th and 12th grade. And at just 15, he started his first semester at Morehouse College. One of his earliest experiences with racial discrimination was in a shoe store. Him and his family were out in a shoe store, and all of a sudden, the store owner came up to him and rushed them out of the back and said that blacks were not allowed inside. Because of this experience and many others like it, it led him to have a passion for equality. Now, I would like to talk about his life as an adult and some of the things he experienced. Martin Luther King Jr. received his bachelor's in 1949, and then he received his doctorates in 1953. After this, he moved back to the South to become the pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist. Seattle Times said that he first made a mark on civil rights by mobilizing the black community during a 382-day bus boycott. He overcame arrest and violent harassment. It got so bad that at one point, people even bombed his house. Later on, after this, he started a group called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which he was voted of by his fellow members. Then he published a book called Stride Towards Freedom, while he was in a bookstore, an African American woman came up to him and stabbed him. In 1960, he moved back to his hometown to become the co-pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church. In 1962, he met with John F. Kennedy, who was the president at the time. While he was meeting with him, he urged Kennedy to support civil rights. Just a year later, he led another protest for the desegregation of department store facilities and fair hiring. While he was in jail, he wrote a letter that became a classic civil rights movement. Unfortunately, years later, he was killed on April 4th, 1968. He was shot in the neck while in Memphis, Tennessee, on his balcony in a hotel by a man named James Earl Ray. Lastly, I would like to talk about some of the significant things he has done, like his greatest achievements. Like I previously stated, he had led a bus boycott that lasted 382 days. Well, because of this boycott, the Montgomery buses were desegregated. And on August 28th, 1963, he gave his I Have a Dream speech. After he delivered this speech, Times Magazine awarded him Man of the Year, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't also just win the Nobel Peace Prize, but he was also the youngest person to ever win it. After he had passed away, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1977, which is the nation's highest civilian honor. And he was also given the Congressional Gold Medal in 2004. He was given this award to honor his contribution to the civil rights movement and all the great things he achieved. In conclusion, Martin Luther King Jr., or formerly known as Michael King, was a great man. He had many outstanding achievements, and numerous amounts of people looked up to him. Hopefully by now you know a little bit more about his life and some of the great things he did while he was alive. And one last fact about Martin Luther King Jr. is that the one class he struggled with the most was public speaking.